Alright, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to YAHAWAH, Ba'ashem Yahushai, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Green Millstone that surely do well. Salutation, teach and every one of the Yakim that pushes gospel out in sincerity and truth. Alright, it's a brother Lamar once again from Trinidad, coming to do another video through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Alright, and this video will be entitled, basically, don't be a careless woman. And this video is you sisters out there, right, who probably know about the truth, the aquatan. And for those who don't know, who probably might come across the video, because really and truly, when we out there as men in these garments, one of the things that we do, we try to warn our people, alright, about the things that are to come, right? And they are very serious times, dangerous times are coming up on the youth. And if anybody listen to news, and that is the thing, the news, a lot of people do like to listen to the news. A lot of women like to be on social media, they like to be on TikTok, right? They don't study the things that really happening around them, right? They don't watch the news, and then yet a lot of women do not read the scriptures, because the way how I put it, the scriptures is come like news before news, right? The Bible come like futuristic news, prophetic news, all right, and will tell you what's going to happen. And if it is that you read the Bible and you watch the news, you'll see that everything that the Bible told you that was going to happen happening right about now, right? And we out there who the Most High Yahweh shall give the spiritual power to foresee what going on right about now, we come out. Isaiah 58 verse 1, cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and shew my people their transgression, and the house of Jacob their sins. Alright, so when we come out here, we come to warn our people, as the scripture says in Isaiah, just let me see, second is just 14 verse, let me see, is that around 12? Right, 14 and 15, it says, let go from the mortal thoughts, cast away the burdens of man, put off now thy weak nature, and set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee, and haste thee to flee from these times. All right, so we warn our people, basically to, put yourself in check. All right, verse 13, just now. Verse 13 was the point I really wanted to bring. It says, now therefore set thine house in order, and reprove thy people. And that is what we do when we out here, right? Or you set your house in order by giving them back that knowledge of the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. You understand? Because the times are going to come, a lot of women, especially who make children, right? A lot of mothers who given suck. Basically, we in that time when Yahushai said, woe unto you that basically pregnant and who given suck in those days, because it's going to be very hard for you, because there are many things that could happen. One of the things is, you're in time at Jacob's trouble, you're going to be worrying about your youth, right? Your mind going to be, because you as a mother, right? A man could only talk about his love for his child in a certain way, but a mother who carry a child in the womb for 9 months, and then bring forth that child, as the scriptures say, during her hours, she in pain. But as soon as the child be born, she forget about that pain, because when you and that child make eye connection, you hold that child, who knows the kind of emotional attachment all they get one time, right? And then to see that food going to be scarce, the military, you might have to be running, you might have to be hiding with the child might cry and make noise and sell out your location, they might kill your child in front of you. These are the things that a lot of you women, have to consider, right? And then the scriptures say a lot of women, they're going to eat the child in the siege because of the famine that is going to come. I was talking to my sister, she was saying, hey, a lot of women, they make children here in Trinidad, I say, yeah, a lot of them could be fuel for the fire. The earth was made for many, but the one to come gonna be few. So the kingdom, the scripture say, hey, the righteous gonna have scarcely be saved. Right? And that even goes to the men in the street. Because a lot of men will be put to death for the name of YAHAWAH HaMashiach's sake. All the world gonna be tested. All these people you're gonna see if they're gonna die for their God, or if it is that, you know, basically what going and go on is the fact that you know, if they're gonna die for their God, or if they're gonna stand up, but yet it's gonna be vain, it's gonna be void. You understand? So it says, nevertheless, therefore set thine house in order and reprove thy people. Right? So that what we do when we out there on the highways and byways, we correct our people. Right? We mainly correct men, but when we start to correct women, people start to get emotional, you know, because we speak as men, we speak sin. So a lot of people, oh, you don't have a mother, whatever the case is, but yes, we do have mothers. Even our mothers fall into the same category of sin. You know, when we explain exactly what is a harlot is not necessarily a woman that goes and get paid to have sex. A harlot is basically a woman when she her virginity is taken by a next man, and then a next man's penetrate her. You understand? That is basically what a harlot is. You know, and then it have a lot of women, they don't even care. They go around and they have intercourse with multiple men. You know, that is being harlot, that is adulterous. Because a woman is only supposed to really know one man in her life. Alright? Now, would you continue in harlotry? No. Prostitution is basically women who go and they have intercourse, whatever the case is, to for money. Right? That is a prostitute. The word prostitute means stand before. You know, you say standing before out there on the road, you know, to enticement to have intercourse with you for whatever in their pocket. Right? It says, comfort such of them as be in trouble and now renounce corruption. And that is what we do. We try to tell you people, hey, put yourself in order, renounce corruption, because just now that time, Isaiah 55, is Isaiah 50, yes, Isaiah 55 and 6. Alright, it says, seek ye YAHAWAH while he may be found, call ye upon him while he is near. Alright, now, in a lot of women mind who probably have a husband in the truth and probably know one or two about the scriptures, you know, the scriptures say, but if she pleased to dwell with him. Yeah, but still you have to put yourself in check, because the scripture says, hey, basically the unbelieving wife shall be sanctified by the believing husband. What do you mean sanctified? Meaning you yourself will basically try to get yourself clean. Right? Try to do the right thing. So not to say you could be in the world doing what you want, partying and, you know, having a harlots as friend or whatever the case is, you know, and just being around the wrong set of company. And when all hell break loose, you know, hey, the Lord will save me for my man's sake because I decide to give him my ton or whatever the case is. No. Even if you're not going around having intercourse with other men or being what you call it, you still have to put yourself in check in the sense that, hey, today is the Sabbath. Let me try to keep the Sabbath as clean as possible. Let me try to avoid certain company. Let me try to avoid certain talk. You know? Because that is what it means to be careless. Right? It says verse 7, let the wicked forsake. Hey, I don't remember something. Right? Let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts, and let him return unto YAHAWAH, and he will have mercy upon him, and to our power, for he will abundantly pardon. Right? So yes, even to the woman, if you return from your wicked ways and seek mercy from the Most High YAHAWAH, he will pardon your ways. Alright? So these are the prophecies that, you know, I want to read it. Let me read it first in Isaiah. Let me read it first in Isaiah 32 and 9, and then go to the NLT. Right? It says, Isaiah 32 and verse 9, rise up, ye women that are at ease, hear my voice, ye careless daughters, give ear unto my speech. So the Lord saying, hey, you women who at ease, you know, you have a husband, he going out there work. You women who have men for this and men for that, whatever the case is, rise up, you're at ease, because just now no man will be able to help you. And for the women who have a man, but guess what, you're seeking help from other men, or you're disrespecting your man, right? Because other things look like a green on the next side. Just now, the green bay tree going and dry up and wither. Alright, because a lot of men, they will going to be able to help themselves. So the Lord warning you women to get yourself in check. Alright, so let me see. Let me look up the word careless. Alright, so it says careless, effortless, and unstudied. So a lot of women, when they come into towards the Lord, they're effortless. Right? They don't, women hardly, I mean, other than some older women, other than some older women who probably still have a background because that's how they grew up, but yet when life take turn all in the teenage years, they hardly see body most unless they have strict parents, or they themselves probably, they will go to church because, because they still want that connection with God. But in the teenagers, a lot of women, they get breakout, whatever the case is, thing in the world, they start to smoke, they start to drink, they start to party, they start to lime, they get wrong company. You understand? It's only when they coming down to the old age and they start to wither, whatever the case is. A lot of them will want to pick up the scripture and say they're reading, but yet within their lifetime they never apply the scriptures to themselves, and they might take info from other people and like, girl, you even show this God real. Suppose if God ain't real, girl, live your life. Yes, do whatever make you happy, girl. It's your life. YOLO, one life to live. All of that is foolish advice. Separate yourself. That is what the word holy means, to separate yourself, to be severed. You understand? Sanctified, right? So effortless and unstudied, right? So you don't pick up the scriptures, you don't watch the news, right? You only studying things that you will. Now the scripture did say the woman that has a husband, she will study the things that he will and how to please her husband. The same thing with a man. So this is why the apostle Paul said in Corinthians, right? Not going and go to it. So basically, I'll paraphrase a lot of just now, hold on. Alright. Yeah. And yeah, so I was saying in First Corinthians, and also, he said, hey, First Corinthians 7 is rather that he ain't have a wife, right? Because he had to be focused. Just like the scripture say, any man desire to be a bishop or a deacon, right? Leaders in churches, all right, or in the congregation, hey, you're seeking a good office, but rather you have one woman at this. Don't have multiple women, because you need to be focused on the word of YAHAWAH, right? So our next form of careless, marked by lack of attention or consideration or forethought or thoroughness, not careful, right? So a lot of women, right, they don't even consider, right, the things, because guess what, it's going to be some hard times, right? It says hear my voice, ye careless daughters, give ear unto my speech. Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless woman, for the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. All right, vintage, a seasoned yield of wine from a vineyard, right? The produce of the vine for one seasoning in grapes or in wine, as the vintage is abundant, the vintage of the act of or time of gathering the crop or grapes or making the wine for a season. All right. Now, one thing too, a lot of women do like wine, but the grapes, all right, to talk about gathering crops, really and truly, right, which is a major part of the economy, right? The GDP, the gross domestic product, is basically of our land, is what the land could bring forth within that year, what they could produce, what they could basically send out there in the economy to make the economy better, so they could get basically finances, whatever the case is. Like the amount of mango, or like for instance Vincent, right? The amount of crops they could yield from fig to export, right? To get some kind of forex or foreign exchange for the country. You understand? So when the Lord say that vintage not going and come, because the most High going and blast the land with mildew, with hail, going and send a drought. These crops not going and see water. These is things that going and come. Nobody ain't going to really have money in the pocket, and due to the tariffs that is on the United States of America, yo, that the United States of America implement on China and other parts of the world, yo, things gonna get very hard. And I keep on saying it from the time I heard it. The Antiguan Prime Minister said the Caribbean is going to face starvation. Right? As I was saying, when the fella, the observer, Caribbean observer, right? A guy from St. Vincent as myself, he said, basically, yo, CARICOM leaders was trying to call Washington and tell them, yeah, we going to feel the blunt of this. Ease it up on China now, please. Ease it, because we're not even in the ring, but we're going to be knocked out. Ease it up on China. But what he did, he put tariffs on every country around the world. And what he said America has been advantaged by both friends and foe. Caribbean countries, get certain Caribbean countries, I believe 6 Trinidad and Tobago being one, 10% tariffs. Alright? Verse 11, it says, tremble ye women that are at ease, be troubled ye careless ones, strip you and make you bare and good sackcloth upon your loins. They shall lament for the tits, for the pleasant fields, for the fruitful vine. Upon the land of my people shall come up thorns and briars, yea, upon all the houses of joy in the joyous city. Right? And I keep on mentioning, alright, it are many times that the Lord speaking in parables or dark sayings. So thorns and briars are basically things that choke crops, but it be symbolically talking about people also. Alright? So let me read it real quick also in the NLT, and then I'll go to some other precepts. The NLT, it says, listen, you women who lie around in ease. You understand? You're lazy in the sense that, you don't want to get up, you don't want to do this, you don't want to do that. I had this fella number, could call him for one month, or whatever the case is, you just comfortable. Right? The Lord saying, shake up out of that, because it's not going to have that just now. Again, vex up here, I'm going to shake up the earth. You understand? Listen, you women who lie around the knees, listen to me. You who are so smoked. In a short time, just a little more than a year, you careless ones will suddenly begin to care. For your fruit crops will fail and the harvest will never take place. You hear that? Tremble, you woman of ease, throw off your complacency, right? Strip off your pretty clothes. All you women who like to, look good, I'm looking sexy in the stress, oh God. Them man and them, I go have them looking back, God damn, I beautiful. You understand? And put on burlap to show your grief. Beat your breast in sorrow for your bountiful farms and your fruitful grapevines. Yes, so beat your chest. Beat your chest, because guess what? God, we're going to get things to eat. Right? For your land will be overgrown with thorns and briars. Your joyful homes and happy tongues will be gone. Right? And women really and truly like to live a life of comfort. Most times, no, I'm not saying that a woman don't struggle, right? But most times it's the man that have to go through the hardship to make it easy for his family. Alright? It have women too, they have to go through hardship. So don't think I'll be impartial. But the majority is what rules. Alright? It's the majority that rules. Alright? So let me Just now. Right, Matthew 24 and 19. I'll get it also in the NLT. I'll read it my fact in the NLT first. I don't feel, a lot of you women don't feel because what your children or whatever the case is, like the Lord ain't going to bring judgment. Alright? The Lord going to bring judgment. Because a lot of these women at the end of the day, they're not going to even teach the children the ways of the Most High, right? Matthew 24 verse 19. How terrible it will be for pregnant women and for nursing mothers in those days. And pray that your flight will not be in winter or on the Sabbath, for there will be greater anguish than at any time since the world began, and it will never be so great again. Right? So the Lord saying, yo, since this began, all you're not going to see the kind of terror that's going to happen. They're going to have conflict in all parts of the world simultaneously. You can't even go in and say, I'm going to run from Trinidad to go to Tobago. I'm going to run from Tobago to go Grenada. I'm going to run from Grenada to go Barbados. I'm going to run from Barbados to go St. Vincent. Yo, we're going to have trouble all over the place simultaneously. Wars, they're going to have martial law. Right? They're going to try to crack down the place to implement the MOTB, which is the RFID. Right? And a lot of women go in and take the RFID chip. Right? What is that? Revelation chapter 13. Alright? A lot of women going to take it. And they're going to encourage the man to take it. Matthew 24:19. One to them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor ever shall be. Because, yo, the earth always see trouble, you know. So that's why I see people that say, boy, these things just always happen. Yeah, but the Lord saying, basically, it come like you try to compress water, right? In something, when water is compressed, right? The amount of pressure inside of it, whatever inside of that container, and you compress that water, you're going to bust whatever inside of it. So the Lord going to bring all this trouble around the earth simultaneously. So dread that guess what? It's only one hope you have, and that hope is in YAHAWAH Shem Yahushai. Because people going out commit suicide. People will commit suicide. People already commit suicide during COVID. And before, when these tariffs really start to take place and the economy start to fail, yo, worse than COVID, going to be a walk in the park, and then we all know that they're going to send an next way you call it, pandemic. Second is just 1612, or is it 1512? Nah, second is just 15. Matter of fact, I'll read verse 1, right? It says, second is just 15 verse 1. Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy which I will put in thy mouth, said the Lord, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true, and the Most High cannot lie. Right? The Most High is not a man that he'll lie. A lot of people being deceived, thinking that they're going to have peace, but not going to have peace. You understand? Verse 5, it says, behold, said the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, which is these wars, famine, which will not be before and after, because of the economy going to drop, somebody going to get fed up on somebody just now also. Or it's going to have some kind of misfire, or it could have a false flag, whatever the case is, that's going to start World War III. Right? And even during that time, it's going to be a dread of famine, because all these resources have to go to the military that are fighting. Death and destruction, right? destruction of cities, homes, whatever the case is. For wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth. And that is what we're trying to tell you people, renounce corruption. You yourself seek your own salvation with fear and trembling. Especially you women with children. Especially you women with children. You love your child, seek to serve the Most High in sincerity and in truth. Be obedient unto your own husband. Don't be obedient unto no other man. Be obedient unto your own husband. Whether he be rough or whether he be gentle. Be obedient unto your own husband. Whether he in the truth or not. Be obedient to your own husband. The Lord will look upon you for this as good, but serve YAHAWAH Shem Yahushai. Right? Don't study these sisters and these sisters who gave you bad advice about leaving your husband and your home just to make yourself happy. Do whatever make you happy. No, do the right thing. Because the time of trouble, when the time of trouble comes, you're going to wish that you did the right thing. Alright? For wickedness had exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. Therefore said the Lord, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness which they profanely commit. Right? Neither will I suffer them in those things in which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood cried unto me, and I is the elect. The men who trying the best, the men that sigh and cry, the men who complaining about homosexuality, the men who complaining about adultery, the men who complaining about murders, the men who complaining about thefts, the men who complaining about unrighteous laws, unrighteous decrees, who complaining about the so-called white man, who complaining about the pollution of the earth, right? They crying out to the Most High. Even the ones that die, that is underneath the throne of the Most High YAHAWAH, is crying out to YAHAWAH. So he say, I hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness. Right? And how he holding his tongue no more? He holding his tongue no more by speaking through the prophets. And just now he gonna send YAHAWAH to destroy this place. Alright? And the souls of the just complain continually. And therefore said the Lord, I will surely avenge them and receive unto me all the innocent blood from among them. Okay? So the men who die, right, for this word, the Most High going and quickly avenge them. Right? Jumping down to verse 12. Right? I'll read this and probably I'll look off there. Right? It says, 2 Ezra 15 verse 12. It says, Egypt shall mourn, and the foundations of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that God shall bring upon it. Right? So Egypt shall mourn. Egypt symbolically talking about America and her provinces. Right? The land of America, the Caribbean islands, Central America, South America, Canada, that is provinces of America. America basically ruling over this whole region. Yes, you could say they're ruling over the entire earth because of the Federal Reserve notes and by sanctions and different decrees that they do. You know, they could sanction any country, put the military base anywhere, whatever the case is. Alright? And the punishment that God shall bring upon it. They that till the ground, going back to the vintage again, going back to the crops, they that till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail through the blasting and hail, and with fearful constellation. You hear that? The Lord going and blast it. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. Aren't we in the world, the planet Earth right about now? The world here will be talking about the whole inhabitable earth. Alright? Where man dwell. It says, for the sword and their destruction joy nigh. Woe, woe, woe. The third woe. Behold, 2 woes has passed. Behold, the third woe cometh quickly. Alright? For the sword and their destruction joy nigh. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Speaking about the guns right about now. Military artillery. Alright? Yeah. We seeing one people rising up against another. Iran against America, Russia against America, China against Taiwan, America, Russia against Ukraine. Israel against Iran, against Lebanon, against Syria, against Gaza, against Yemen. Come on. Who not seeing it? You're blind. Alright? For there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. China want to invade Taiwan. Russia invade Ukraine. You understand? Israel invade Gaza. Alright? North Korea want to invade South Korea. Alright? It says, they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the causes of their actions shall stand in their power. So, even a lot of people internally, right, are going to have civil unrest. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. And if men going and be afraid, who said the woman? The woman ain't braver than men. May have certain women are braver than some men because of lifestyle and certain situation. But most of these women only brave because the men are wrong them. But what about when the men turn? And your husband afraid? Alright? It says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread. All a woman not going on seafood? And for great tribulation, behold, said the Most High, I will call together all the kings of the earth to reverence me. So it's all the kings of the earth. Everybody can be involved in this war, which are from the rising of the sun, from the south, from the east and Lebanon, to turn themselves one against another, and repair the things that they have done to them. To who? The elect, the Israelites. So to you, Israelite women out there, Negroes, Latinos, and natives, to you women who know, that you are Israelites, for you women who don't know that you are Israelites and probably now coming into the knowledge, don't be a careless daughter. Don't be effortless. Don't be unstudied in the will of YAHAWAH Hashem Yahushai. Seek the things that are pleasing unto YAHAWAH Hashem Yahushai, so the Most High could have compassion upon you and your household. Even if your man, your husband, is not in this faith. Alright, with that, say shalom to the hopeful elect, giving all praises, honor, and glory to YAHAWAH Hashem Yahushai. Double honors again to the apostles and the elders of greatness who not surely do well. Salutation, teacher, and everyone at the Akim that push this gospel out in sincerity and in truth. To the sincere Akwatan that listen in silence, to you sisters, I say shalom. Hope is edifying towards the hopeful elect. Mawat la babal, mawat la babal, mawat la babal.